And what happened after that evening was basically a full-blown hellscape where I was absolutely tortured the rest of the evening by things coming out of the closet to a full, which later on in my life, I had to walk past the door and there was a man standing in the corner, like up against the door, and he was all bloated and he was blue and he had holes all through his body and he was wet.
Wow.
It wasn't until I was, older when I realized what I was seeing was a body was fished out of somewhere and the holes in him were from a grappling hook.
Wow.
Now, I was a small child. I should not have known. I mean, I have a good imagination, but no, that's next level. That's not me. But that evening, when I was laying in the bed and after I said, no, I'm not, and good night, and all hell broke loose, and literally it was all hell, the closet door opened up, there was a hand, there was a decapitated head. I pulled the sheets up over my head, and when the hand came down, it went to shake the head, and you can actually hear the whapping of blood hitting the sheets. It was really horrible, and I was completely awake because I had just brushed my teeth. I walked into the bedroom. My mom got home shortly thereafter. I was terrified. I was petrified in my room. So I had told Paul years later, I had discovered, we were cleaning the basement, and we were pulling up some flooring that was in the basement, and there was a pentagram on the floor.
Oh.
A huge, and it looked like spray paint or some sort of paint. It was white, which I thought was weird, and it was underneath the floor in the house. But that house was purchased from like an elderly couple, so I'm not sure what was happening. But my mother bought the house in the 70s, and whatever was in that house originated from the basement, and absolutely tortured me.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds crazy when you talk about it, or but I mean, I still, all the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, even with the thought of being in that house. And most recently, I did have somebody come to my mother's house, but my mother knows it's there. She says it doesn't bother her, and she doesn't want to talk about it, but she's afraid to go into the basement. You always feel like something's watching you. In broad daylight, you'll see a giant, black shadow cross the room. So a Catholic priest did come in. He did rituals, and since then, I've been into the basement. I haven't felt that presence, but it was there for 50-plus years at minimum. And I don't know why there was a pentagram painted on the floor of an elderly person's home. I have no clue.
So it seems like somebody was practicing Satanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get rid of it? Actually?
Well, to get rid of it, I'm not entirely sure, Sue. It's gone through periods where it will be dormant, and then it'll come back stronger, and then it'll go dormant again. It's definitely in a dormant phase because I can move about the house and not, have every hair on my body standing up. But the priest, with what he did, when he did go into the basement, he did tell my mother, he just said for her to go upstairs and he was going to take care of it. So the priest himself recognized that there was something there. He didn't need to be told.
Well, you can actually get rid of it if you take the, is it on a floorboard? Like a wooden type?
No, it's actually on concrete. It was under linoleum.
Then, I know that would be expensive, but you could actually get that cut out and then that area refilled.
Right, or we could just sell the house and move on.
Yeah, that would be the other thing.
Make it somebody else's problem.
Definitely.
And also, too, Jay, I do Roman Catholic house blessings, so if you ever want some information on that, on how you can go ahead and self-bless your house, just contact me and let me know.
Yeah. I mean, I was always kind of more like a portal even growing up too, because unfortunately, my mother also played around with Ouija boards and things like that. So it was, the whole house was filled with something that shouldn't have been there. But interestingly, years later, unfortunately, my grandmother had passed away, and everybody in the house was desperate to find her wedding ring. Desperate. Now, my grandmother's house was down the road. It was 3 stories. It was a big, beautiful home. Lots of things in the house. And they were about to bury her, and everybody was absolutely freaking out about, they couldn't find her wedding ring. No, my grandmother had really bad arthritis, so nobody could find her wedding ring. So they go to pick out the casket. They had to go to the funeral home. For whatever reason, I asked to stay behind. And that was not something I would normally do. Normally, I would want to go with my family. So I was sitting in the living room, and the TV was on. This was in my grandmother's house, and, you know, my mother's crying. Nobody could find her ring. The next day's, you know, whatever, and they want to bury her with her ring. My family spent 2 days tearing the house apart. 2 full days. Nobody could find this thing. My family leaves, I'm sitting on the couch, and all I could describe it as going on autopilot. I shut off the TV, I stood up, I walked into the kitchen, I went upstairs in my grandmother's bedroom. I opened the drawer, didn't look through it, closed the drawer in her dresser. Opened a second drawer, did not look through it, closed it. Turned around, went up into the attic. I go up into the attic, I stand in the middle of the attic, and I just kind of scan around the room now, all around the room in the attic. It's a big house, big attic, lots of stuff. I'm looking at all these boxes, and I see this one area with Christmas decorations, and the boxes are stacked as tall as I am. I'm 5'4". I start taking all these boxes down, get to the last box on the floor. I open that box. Inside there's a cigar box. I open the cigar box. I close it. I move the cigar box away, and in the folds of the cardboard underneath the cigar box, I see the corner of something gold. And in my head, my rational thinking brain, I thought it was the end of, you know, like scissors. I thought it was like, the ring part for a scissor. I pull it out. Don't you know it's my grandmother's ring?
Wow.
I say out loud, my ring. I didn't say my grandmother's ring. I said my ring. I walked downstairs, I put it on the kitchen table, I wrote a note, here's Grandma's ring, and I went home.